flowy with bigger charts. We've now made it to mimic kind of what you see in your Seller Central app on your phone. Um, with that said, we've also moved a couple things around too. So listing alerts, which used to live right up at the very top here with those big numbers, we've now made it notification style to kind of mimic your phone and modern apps and everything else you're used to seeing with clickable notifications. In addition, we've also moved the volume of price changes down to the bottom here. This account, we have not yet enabled repricing on because I'm going to show you that once we dive in. But this is where you would see the volume of price changes. That would be the second graph in Legacy Aura. A new feature here is going to be buy box ownership percentage at the marketplace level as well as the SKU level. That's huge because Legacy Aura didn't have that. We had a coming soon badge. So now we've finally built it in. It's going to be the most accurate buy box ownership percentage that you have available because it's literally going to scrape all of the offer change feeds we get that come in, which basically that is the data that we get that tells us what seller ID is at what price point. And we will do the math. We will find the number of times your seller ID is coded as being a buy box winner over the total number of offer change feeds that we get. And we'll be able to graph it based off of that. So that's important because these three graphs down here, it'll also include the number of units sold for your marketplace as well. These three graphs down here are going to, on the dashboard, are going to show your metrics for your marketplace. And these three graphs are also available on the individual SKU pages. So you'll be able to see the number of price changes, your buy box ownership percentage, and the number of units sold per individual SKU as well. Now, to change this view up here, you can also change the look back period. So you can view all of the metrics on this page, including those three graphs at the bottom by the last day, last week, this month, this week. And we will be adding more extended look back periods soon. Here is where you're able to change your marketplace. So if you have multiple US marketplaces, or if you have sell in international marketplaces, you'll be able to toggle between to view the aggregated metrics or each individual marketplace's metrics.
Okay.
Here we have refresh along with auto refresh. So auto refresh is if you enable this, you never have to touch this page again. It will refresh your data and re-pull it. It'll reflect it every 5 seconds. So if we get data in from Seller Central, within 5 seconds, that'll be reflected here on the dashboard. And you'll be able to see your metrics and the performance graphs change in real time.
Nice. Now my only questions on this, especially the buy box percentage, I think that's a really awesome feature. Is there a way to download reports of that, like for example, that 30-day buy box percentage report? And the reason that I'm asking that is because when you're looking at buying your stock for the next month for those replens, that buy box percentage combined along with how much that product is selling as an ASIN itself is going to give you a really clear estimate of how much you need to buy.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you asking if there's going to be included in the exportable file?
Exactly. Like, are you able to export a report that would give that data?
Not yet. And I stress not yet because with the way the 1.0 is built, it's a lot more robust and it's a lot more friendly to be able to add more features such as, because right now if we head to the reports, you're gonna see the lowest in buy box prices report. If you download this, it'll throw it in a CSV. You can throw it up in the sheets. But this new app will allow us to build more analytical reports too. So we could do, maybe a competitor analysis where we list out, maybe like the featured offer, the seller ID, and then the buy box percentage. So the answer is not yet, but it's coming. And this is feedback that we're getting and aggregating so that we're able to release fast follows coming in waves over the next, couple months. And I'll make sure that this is passed to the team for including buy box percentage in the reports.
Yeah, I think that would be an awesome one to add just for the fact of, and it would almost be worth even considering, especially considering that there's not a report for it, because sometimes doing that extra little bit of legwork when other people just don't have the time or aren't willing to will push those people that are willing to do that extra legwork ahead.
I hear you. Yeah, no, I see the value in it. I agree it should be there. And I'll see what I can do to get that into an upcoming release.
Cool.
So now
what I was saying, do the extra legwork. I was talking to the people watching the video, so because there's not a report, if they're willing to look it up manually, then they'll have that step ahead of the people that aren't willing to do it.
There you go. Yeah. No, it's surprising to me that now, are you able to export that value from Seller Central at this time, or not at,
No.
no? Wow, I'm surprised.
Well,
Okay.
so you're able to yeah, you're not able to like not like that as far
I
as
see.
like on a daily, or you have certain periods that you're able to export.
I see. Okay. So aggregated would add the most value.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. All right, cool. Yeah, I'll pass that on and see what we can do to get that included. Now let's get into like the actual app itself. So this is the dashboard. Some of the biggest changes we made are going to exist here under listings. So it looks a little bit different, a little bit cleaner than previous Aura. And some of the biggest changes we made are on this page. So that's going to include the ability to show and hide custom columns. So if you click this little plus button in the corner up here, you can now show and hide any of these columns here in the listings table itself.
That is
We haven't yet released support for being able to move the columns, but you are going to be able to show and hide them, which was a little bit of a pain point in old Aura, considering they were not
yes.
customizable and you had to scroll down and scroll over and zoom out and mess with all your settings. It was a big hassle. Ashley knows, she's laughing. For many of you who use Legacy Aura also know.
I used to put Aura on my television just so that I
Oh
could see the
no,
whole thing at once. So
don't
for
say
those of
that.
you who don't know what a big deal this is huge.
Yeah, we really included a lot of features to reclaim time. And this is going to be one of them. So now with all of these, we have also included another another big value add that we've added here is for your FBA listings. We now include inventory age broken out into 4 different buckets. So 0 to 30 days, 31 to 60, 61 to 90, 91 to 180. And you'll be able to see the number of units in each of these categories, which is really going to help with changing your min-max prices, with maybe assigning a more aggressive strategy. So this is something that Legacy Aura did not have that we can now offer. Something else to add to is up here under filters. Anyone who uses Legacy Aura would know there was not a real robust way to filter and sort your listings. That is now changed. So we now have true stackable filters here. And you can also use that in conjunction with keyword search. So I'm just going to take a look through here, lifesavers. Let's use lifesavers. So here, what you can do is you can filter by, let's say fulfilled by, show me only FBA listings, add another filter, maybe that have either suppressed buy box or not in the buy box, out of the buy box. And, let's also say, you can also filter by marketplace. Let's also say, maybe we can include those that are missing a cost or have no minimum price. And this is my favorite one, where the min price is above the buy box price. So this is a quick way for you to be able to segment the listings that are not going to be able to be competitive. So it's important to note, and I can get into this deeper too, is that Aura is, you'll see here your min and max prices, or that makes up the range where Aura is authorized to move your price between. So your minimum price, your maximum price, that is where you are basically telling Aura, I am okay with sales happening between these two numbers. And in those two numbers, go crazy, go wild, go get me the buy box and follow my strategy. So the problem is that, and this is kind of inherent, is that if the buy box price is falling either, this is your range where you can reprice. If the buy box price is either below or above it, then it doesn't matter. You're stuck in this range. So if the buy box price falls down here, maybe the buy box is at $10, your minimum price is 15, your max is 25, or it's not going to be able to go beneath 15. It's going to hit that wall and stop. So this is a quick way to be able to find those listings where, Aura's stuck for, lack of a better term, and it's not going to be able to get down to the buy box to compete. And so, there you can also utilize the age of inventory to say, okay, maybe I have a couple units here that have been here longer than 90 days and the buy box is below the min price. Maybe it's time to consider lowering my minimum price, give Aura that headroom to get down to the buy box and compete, so I can start liquidating these units that are starting to accrue storage fees, reclaim that capital, and redeploy into something faster moving that'll ultimately compound my money faster.
Yeah, well, and that'll work great for, because you guys still allow custom strategies, so people could like set up it automatically comes in, it hits at this I want at least this ROI, and then after 30 days, if it's still sitting around, I'll take this. After 60 days, if it's still sitting around, I'll take
Precisely.
this, and
Yeah.
then work its way down. And then if I still got it at 90 days, I'm gonna bottom it out, and then out the door it goes.
Yeah, and there's something to be said too about, inventory. Everything has a cost on Amazon. Even existing on Amazon as a, as a pro tier seller is $40 a month. You pay Amazon when you sell a product, almost half, if you do FBA, close to half of your proceeds go back to them in fees. If you don't sell the product fast enough, then they're going to charge fees to store. They charge fees to ship in inventory. They charge fees when you sell. So if you're not making money in Amazon, you're losing money. Money is always coming out. You need to be making money to at least stay in the green or break even. So, and that's going to include aging inventory too. The longer inventory sits and doesn't sell, not only will it accrue real world costs, in terms of storage fees, but there's also opportunity costs too. If you have 10 units, priced at $20 per unit tied up at Amazon, that's $200 that's sitting at a warehouse, a fulfillment center in New Jersey collecting dust. And that soon will probably be accruing fees too. That $200 is a lot better off in your pocket, reclaimed, ready to be deployed into more, profitable or faster moving inventory, or even better, already deployed in the inventory that you purchased because you had the capital and liquidity to do so. It's not going to be the case if you have money tied up at Amazon. You need money on hand. If a great opportunity comes along, with that sells faster, has a higher ROI, you're going to need liquidity on hand to go buy that. And so, at some point, you got to be willing to start accepting sales at a discount to be able to get that cash back and then redeploy it. And I'll also say this, nobody makes significant wealth on Amazon selling through their inventory one time. I don't care if your ROI is 100% or your margin is, 70% on a listing. It doesn't matter. If you sell through your inventory one time in a year, that's your earnings right there. The seller who compounds it, so maybe they turn over their money 6 times in a year because it sells faster but at a lower margin. They're going to ultimately have more money because their money's always moving, it's compounding, they're taking it, even if it's not at 70% margin, maybe it's at 30% margin, they can redeploy that into something that's even higher and it compounds.
Right.
That is the winner, of selling on Amazon, is the ones who can move their inventory the fastest and compound it more in a period of time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
So with that said, yeah, like I said, this is the listings page. You can customize the columns here. You can stack these. You can add filters, upon filters, and you can use it with keyword search too. So I see, let's use Lifesaver. And so you can use the keyword search in conjunction with the stackable filters. So, maybe you have a bunch of Adidas products or Puma or Nike, and you want to find, those, maybe out of the buy box, FBA, that maybe the minimum price is above the buy box. You can quickly find those, make your adjustments, and you'll be good to go. Another thing too that I want to stress too is circling back from the multiple users with permissions. If I come in here with my account and I'm an authorized user of this account, and I change my column view here, that's going to stay true to each user. So, if
Oh,
Ashley has,
amazing.
if she likes to see certain data and then maybe I don't want to see the picture, maybe I don't want to see the, the strategies, maybe if I have one strategy, every user can have their own custom view, and that's going to stay true to your login.
Somebody keeps moving all of my Keepa filters and they won't,
Exhibit
and
A. There you go.
nobody will admit to who's doing it.
Of course not.
So
No,
every day I come in and everything's all moved around.
you're like, grr, who did this? Yeah, exactly.
Whoever's
Uh,
touching my stuff,
more.
back.
Right. Yep. Go get your own login. So
Right.
now what we can do is let's dive into one of these products here. So this is what the new listing page looks like. And kind of to echo myself from the dashboard, those 3 graphs you see in the dashboard under performance, price updates, and buy box percentage. I'm sorry, it's going to be these 3: price updates, units sold, buy box percentage. These 3 exist on your dashboard and on each individual SKU. This top one here, this is almost like your own personal Keepa chart. So what this is going to do, and this is also in addition to Legacy Aura, is this is going to chart your price visually over a period of time. So, let's say maybe you set a new parameter in the strategy, or maybe you deploy Maven if you're a pro user. You'll be able to visually see where your price goes over time to kind of give you an idea of its behavior. And this is something that's cool to see. Keepa is regarded as one of, those, essential tools that, an Amazon seller uses. This gives you that visual on each of your SKUs. A few other things to note here. This is something else I'm excited to show you is if you click in the buy box here, you will now be able to see all of the offers on the listing exactly the way Aura sees it. So here it looks like, Ashley, unfortunately, you're not in the buy box in this listing. This guy is right here with the seller ID. And if you click onto it, it'll take you exactly to their storefront page on Amazon. Same with any of these, it'll show you whether they have Prime, their fulfillment method, as well as the price plus shipping. And this one doesn't have any, but it'll also show back order status as well. So up here, if we were to toggle repricing on in this SKU, it's not going to reprice because it doesn't have a minimum price yet. But if you were to toggle on repricing, that unlocks this setting here, which is called hyperdrive. So hyperdrive is a really neat feature that allows you to, there we go. It allows Aura, it's actually, think of it as like the Disney Fast Pass. It allows Aura to submit price changes in total, including processing times on Amazon, in under 10 seconds. It's like the VIP entryway for your listings, and it's an API ability that per connected marketplace you can submit up to 50. 50 of your most critical SKUs you can have hyperdrive enabled on. Pro tier will give you all 50 hyperdrive credits. We're going to refer to each of these as like credits. So the Pro tier gives you up to 50, and it'll be denoted by this little purple star here. The Essential tier gives you up to 5. So even if you're on the Essential tier and you didn't upgrade to Pro, you can still enable hyperdrive on up to 5 of your SKUs. And that will ensure that you are always ahead of the competition, especially if you're competing against other repricers that maybe throttle your price change time. So for example, other repricers, I'm not going to name drop, but probably our closest competitor that, a lot of people kind of see as, the budget friendly alternative. They throttle your price changes to 15 minutes. So what that means is that if Aura is pushing through price changes in under 10 seconds on up to, the number of allotted credits that you have, and other tools are throttling you at 15 minutes, by the time they even process a price change, they're already running off of old data. So that's going to give you a big boost in performance just based on speed alone.
Now, I have a question on those. So how often can you change those five,
Yeah.
like those 5 ASINs? So like what happens if like, hey, it works fantastic. I put it on those 5 and they immediately sell out. Can I go pick 5 more?
Yeah, so we're going to work something into the UI kind of also based off of your plan. But if you're on the Essential plan and, we've released kind of like the freeze to enforce the tiers, once you hit 5, it'll just gray out the rest of them. So it won't let you toggle them on the others. So basically, it'll look at your active listings and it'll only let you assign up to toggle them on up to 5 per active listings. And so if a listing goes inactive, I would imagine we would then kind of unfreeze it to allow you to toggle it on one more. So it'll be a kind of like a user interface, not challenge, but something that we have to consider and implement to make it really obvious that, it's like, hey, this listing sold out. You have an extra hyperdrive credit to use since only 4 of them are now active. Go ahead and throw it on another one.
Okay.
So something we're looking into. We'll take feedback on that too, if anybody has feedback. But we're exploring ways to kind of implement that to make it friendly. Also up here on the top, just like with your dashboard, you can also change the look back period of the SKU page itself. You can also view if you have the same ASIN or SKU in multiple different marketplaces. So for example, if you're enrolled in NARF and you're selling it in Canada and Mexico, you can also change between the marketplaces you have the SKU in. You can also just auto refresh here. And up here is you can jump straight to the pricing activity for this listing if you want to pull the logs and take a look and audit, see what Aura is doing. And you can also jump to the listing page on Amazon as well. This will take you directly to the page.
That is very cool.
Yeah, so a little bit more of a look and feel.
Yeah,
Something
there's
else
a
I want to
lot
add.
more. There's so much more information there than there used to be as far as
Yeah, we incorporated a lot of feedback when we designed and built this.
it's a lot cleaner looking too. It's a lot
Yeah,
more open than
the Legacy Ore was a little heavy feeling at times, and a
yeah.
little janky. And I say that, in a nice way, but it felt like an app that was built, 8 years ago now. And this one
Yeah.
feels like an app that was built this year. And it's amazing, how far technology has come in that time. I was a freshman in college when Aura was first launched. And at the time it was like, oh, this is really clean and cutting edge. And then time happened. And now this is what, people are used to for web apps. So we've kept it up to date and modern.
Now, I don't know if this will be I don't know if you'll get into it later, so we can always push this back, but
Sure.
I know a big concern in the past, especially for me, and I'm sure for other people as well, was merchant fulfilled listings versus Aura. Was always a sore point as far as trying to figure that out. And I know you guys were talking about making some updates with that, and I don't know what that ever came to be.
Yeah, I would assume you're referring to being able to add some sort of like additional
Hmm.
shipping lines. So, if you offer free shipping on your merchant fulfilled items, how do you factor that in while using like, say the inventory lab integration, which is going to pull in like just your item cost. So that's something else that we're working into upcoming release too. I can't say exactly when that's coming, but we have gathered a lot of feedback on that as far as where to add, various other costs, that extends beyond just shipping costs. It's going to include, prep cost or, inbound to FBA, that there are going to be other fees. Right now, we just say, if you offer free shipping, include that in your item cost. Your item cost here should really include any easily trackable per unit cost that's associated with by the time you procure the item to the time it arrives at the customer's doorstep. And so for merchant fulfilled items where you pay for shipping, it's going to include that as well.
Okay.
If you charge for shipping, which is what this field is up here, this is an FBA or this is a merchant item, but you offer free shipping. I thought that was FBA. If this also said fulfilled by Amazon, this would also be zero since FBA items typically offer free shipping. If you charged, if you charged for shipping, so you add a shipping template active in Seller Central, that would get pulled in here, and then Aura would then reprice based off of the landed cost or the landed price, which is going to be the total amount charged to the customer, which is your price and shipping combined. So, okay, and one last thing I want to add here. You can see down here, this doesn't include replayed offer changes. So no offer changes received. So I've said that kind of phrase before here. Offer changes or offer change notifications or offer change feeds, as they're called, those are it's basically a snapshot. It's a feed that we get anytime anybody on the listing changes their price. So what that means is that as soon as anybody, including yourself, makes a price change on a listing, we receive an updated feed basically telling us, hey, here's where everyone's seller ID is and where's the new pricing. This page here, all offers, this is almost exactly what we see in an offer change. So what that means is that, and that's how Aura and all other repricers reprice, is based off of these feeds that tell us exactly what's going on the listing based on who's pricing where. Replay is a feature that we've included that will actually retain the most recent offer change feed that comes in. So this is a big deal because if you recall in Legacy Aura, if you were to make a change to a strategy or a listing or a cost or a min price, you would have to wait until the next price change to come in for then those changes to then be reflected when Aura can make its next price change. This is going to do that automatically. So that feed that comes in, it's going to retain the most recent one. So now Aura has a memory. It has a memory of exactly where the competitors are as of real time. So if you make a change to a strategy, you change, a minimum price, you update your cost, which changes your minimax prices. That will then reference the most recent feed we get, and it'll trigger a price change immediately to be able to bring your listings up to date in real time. So if you want to make a bulk change to all your minimum prices, you say, hey, wait a second, I need to be charging, $3 more for my minimum prices. And you either upload a feed or come in and change them. These will then update right away in real time. And if you have hyperdrive on, these will update by the time you even get back to the page. It'll be sent and reflected within under 10 seconds.
Okay, so no more having to go to Seller Central, make the changes there because
Those days are over.
having to
No,
wait. Okay.
no.
That's
That also takes
that's how
away
it
our
used to be.
artificial 3-hour trigger, which we had in Legacy Aura, which would essentially kind of artificially force that in a way. So if there was listings that weren't getting these feeds in because there just weren't price changes happening, I mean, we can only get them when someone changes their price. So if there's just no activity, we're not going to get them. So in old Aura, our workaround, our band-aid for that issue was every 3 hours, we would spike your price up by a penny and immediately back down. That would artificially force a new feed to come in, which would then trigger the price change. And so, we'd used to say, you would see these changes reflected in at most 3 hours, assuming nothing happened on the listing. So here, it's no longer the case. That trigger system doesn't happen. No more going into Seller Central to change it yourself. You can just make the change. And if you have hyperdrive on, it'll be reflected immediately.
That's awesome.
So moving on, I want to touch upon strategies too here in the time that we have. So for the most part, strategies look pretty much the same. These have been just, made a little bit prettier. We've added some extra information here to really allow you to get a little bit more context into what Aura is going to do, specifically the maintenance section. Minimax pricing has also changed a little bit in the sense that we still allow you to set your Minimax prices either manually or automatically based off of ROI, margin, or fixed profit. But we now add the ability to add a profit floor. So this is important because in Legacy Aura, I used to recommend that if you had low cost listings, right? If you had a listing, that your cost was under, say, $10 and you were using ROI, that's not going to fare well if you paid $1 for a listing and your minimum price is 30%, 20% ROI, because you're taking 20% of your cost of $1. Your profit's going to be 20% of $1, which is 20 cents. It's nothing.
I really like
up.
that.
So now, and for those, we used to recommend maybe manually setting your min price or using fixed profit. Now we actually combine them. So you can say, if you're using a 20% min ROI, it's going to be like, take whichever one's higher once it gets below the profit floor. So with a profit floor, you could say, if your 20% ROI is going to come out to be, 20 cents, use $2 instead. So your profit will always stay at $2 or above. Once it gets above $2, it'll then go back to using the ROI. Something else I want to add too, and this is a real game changer, is in certain listings that have either reduced fees or have kind of like staggered fees, where it's, I know groceries, it's like over, I think it's under 10 or $15. The fees kind of changed, between 8 and 15%. That actually creates some reduced profit ranges where you're actually better off selling at a lower price to get a higher profit than a higher price with higher fees. So now Aura takes that into account, and it'll actually avoid those dead ranges, those reduced profit ranges, accordingly. So it won't let Aura reprice within those ranges where you would otherwise be actually making less profit. It'll either push you down or up depending on your strategy.
Perfect. Okay, cool.
Something else I want to add too, while we're here, is for pro users who want to try Maven or people who are in the trial. Maven is the name of our new AI model. So we now have true AI, and you can watch this video of Dylan walking us through Maven too. With AI, with our AI strategy, all you do is set your minimum price and that's it. There's nothing else for you to change, and that's by design. So with our AI strategy, it's incredibly smart. So what it'll do is it'll continuously try to find the optimal price for your listing. So what that means is it'll try and continuously move your price at the intersection of buy box ownership percentage, sales velocity, and margin. It'll test different price points. If you're alone on a listing, it'll raise your price, try raising it to find the point where it drops off, and then it'll go back down. If it's a suppressed buy box, it'll automatically lower your price to try and unsuppress the buy box. And it does this by actually using game theory and the cooperative uncooperative model. So what that means is that if you, Aura will now dynamically reprice against the competitors based on how they reprice against you. So if you have a competitor who's matching your price, who's cooperative, as you can say, who's not uncooperative would be if they're undercutting you. Aura will then match them back. So it doesn't have to reduce the price if it doesn't have to. So if somebody is matching you, it'll match them back. If someone's being uncooperative and undercutting you, Aura will reprice beneath them at the points where it finds it wins the buy box, since that seller ID is considered to be uncooperative. And it'll track your competitors based on their behavior and create profiles of them based off their seller ID. So this is designed to be the strategy to replace all strategies. It'll reduce, the race to the bottom, and it'll also ensure that you're receiving the maximum amount of profit and buy box percentage ownership without needing to change a thing.
Well, and there's no sense in causing issues with people when you don't have to, because a lot of times, people will, when they're either repricing manually or when they notice that you're not causing issues with them, they'll specifically make a point of like not causing issues with you, and everybody just settles down and gets along. And
exactly.
And then one person comes on with a wild repricer, making everybody angry, and then it starts a war. And
and Aura will handle that. That's in your best interest too. So this is it's a real game changer. This is a million strategies tied into one.
Anytime you can just walk up to a listing and be like, hey, I'm not here to cause problems, let's all get along, let's all sell as high as we can.
Exactly.
Because since you can't actually say that.
A lot of things you can't say.
Then it just makes it much better for everybody.
Right. Last thing here in the strategy is you can also set a default currency based on the strategy too. So, if you want to use a specific strategy in a certain marketplace or region, you can also dictate, the currency here. So when you set your min-max prices, it'll automatically convert those for you on those listings.
Okay, and that's the currency that for that actual marketplace, correct?
This is actually per strategy. So what that means is you can set a default currency for the marketplace that'll change your metrics on the dashboard, but then this will actually change the values of which you recompete. So all the values that, reprice below by X amount or set my min-max prices by, this fixed profit, this will convert those into the currency that you set here. So
Okay,
you can have different currency settings for each strategy as well as on the marketplace itself.
nice. That's cool.
And then, of course, we have, our previous rule-based strategies, our pre-configured ones, and then custom if you want to come in and make one from scratch. We haven't taken away any functionality. We've just added the ability to have AI in here. And that's really the bulk of our changes. That's about all the time we have for now. But I wanted to highlight, like I said, I wanted to highlight Hyperdrive. I wanted to highlight Maven. I wanted to highlight the listings page here and the customizability of it. See, it'll even show you, the little icon for Hyperdrive here. The changes to the listings page, the dashboard, auto refresh, new user permissions, as well as all the other marketplaces. So yeah, I guess one last thing I could show you is Aura now. I'll have to find one that's a good fit. I actually go up here and filter by FBA listings, but basically in old Aura, you could only see 3 different statuses for your inventory. It was either available, inbound, or in transfer. This will now show you every single status. It looks like these are all available, but it would show you researching, reserved, in transfer, pending, customer damage, warehouse damage. It'll basically mirror the listing units statuses from Seller Central exactly. So yeah, thank you for joining me on this tour of Aura. Like I said, my name is Finn, and I'm a customer success manager with Aura. I'm happy to answer any questions anyone has. You can feel free to drop me an email. It's just finn@goaura.com, and I'll be able to jump in and give you any assistance, set up a trial for you if you want to come in and try it. Be sure to sign up using Ashley's affiliate code, and she also has a discount code too that'll give you 15% off your first 3 months with Aura. So thank you for your time, Ashley. I really appreciate the opportunity to, show Aura. And yeah, we look forward to having everybody in Aura. And yeah, if anything comes up, just reach out and let me know, and I'll be happy to help.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you so much. We won't keep you any longer. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.